This little girl, without her mom noticing, tiptoed into a stranger's yard. The homeowner was getting firewood on the other side of the yard, completely unaware a girl had entered his house. The house was already dim, and the little girl was careful not to make any noise, so Khan didn't even realize she was there, until he went back to bed. That's why, when the girl couldn't help but cough, it almost scared him half to death. He turned on the light, and saw it was just a little kid, and Khan finally let his guard down a little. But then, the girl walked right over and hugged him.
Mama.
Where are you off?
The girl's words surprised Khan, but he quickly realized, if the girl was calling out for her mom, maybe her mom was nearby. So he quickly told her to wait inside, and went outside to look for her. Sure enough, he hadn't walked far, when Khan found a figure in the snow. Unfortunately, the woman had already lost all signs of life. He quickly drove the little girl to town to report it. At this time, the chief's house was packed with people. It was his celebration for being promoted to councilman. When Khan suddenly walked in holding a little girl, many people didn't know what was going on. Only the councilman's face showed a flicker of panic, because he recognized the girl instantly. When he heard the girl's mother had passed away, his expression became even more shocked. Soon, a large group of people arrived at Khan's house, just as the councilman expected. The woman on the stretcher was his mistress. However, he had to pretend not to know her, because she froze to death after collapsing from a drug overdose. If people found out he was involved with a drug addict, his career would basically be over. So, even though he knew the girl was his own flesh and blood, he had no intention of acknowledging her. He even declared the girl an orphan, and demanded that the welfare agency take her away immediately. Upon learning the girl's fate, Khan, who was always kind-hearted, felt a pang of sympathy. Looking at her innocent and adorable face, he suddenly had the idea of adopting her. However, the councilman told Khan that adopting a child wasn't a simple matter. At the very least, he'd have to pass the welfare agency's assessment. Khan knew his situation didn't really meet the requirements, but after much thought, he still wanted to try. That night, he found a crib, and quietly watched over the girl. The girl also seemed to have a natural bond with Khan. She rarely cried when she was with him. To make a good impression on the evaluators, Khan not only cleaned every corner of his house, but he also spruced himself up from head to toe. But even though he tried his best, the welfare agency still weren't too keen on him, because, according to them, Khan didn't have much savings, and he only made small furniture to make a living. Basically, he didn't even have a stable job. Plus, he wasn't married, and had no experience taking care of kids, so the welfare agency couldn't possibly agree to let him adopt a child. However, to Khan's surprise, that afternoon, the staff directly handed the child over to him, without even needing any paperwork. This left Khan feeling a bit confused, unable to understand why they suddenly approved his adoption application. But the reason everything went so smoothly was actually because of the councilman's behind-the-scenes maneuvering. Although he didn't dare acknowledge the child, he also didn't want her sent to some unknown place, so he privately arranged for the welfare agency to give the child to Khan. This way, he wouldn't have to acknowledge her, but he could still see her whenever he wanted. Meanwhile, Khan, as a first-time dad, didn't have much experience taking care of a child, but luckily, his single mom neighbor came over to give him pointers. To make it easier to interact with his daughter, Khan also gave her